Good morning, my friends. How are you? How is everybody today in this beautiful morning? Well, we are here to talk about something very interesting, choices and sacrifices. Now, we all begin our days with choices. I like to say that we all begin our days with um, choices that we're going to do for that very same day. Something as simple as, am I going to work today? What am I going to do today? What are the things that will make my life, I'm just trying to share this here to my own personal Facebook page, but I just added, all good. So yes, we start by choosing the simplest things as to what am I going to eat today? What am I going to do today? And the beautiful thing is we all have free will. In Spiritism, we talk about free will on a daily basis. We're always talking about how God is so good and just that he allows us, his creations, to choose our own path. Now, the only thing is he puts this little sacred powder on us and he defines the fatality of all our existence as we're going to be perfect, happy, good beings at one point. Now, for us to get there, we must make our own choices. We choose what we want, when we want. And even though sometimes in life it seems that we have no choice in a situation, then we have to remember that everything that you're going through is a result of something that you have chosen in a previous moment. So there's the law of cause and effect. And that takes the weight off us thinking that we're victims. Because, and again, this is going to be another topic of victimism. We are not victims. And it's a beautiful thing to see our lives as a life full of possibilities, a life full of hope, that you can choose things for your own self. And you're not a victim of anything else that's happening. That makes us people who are exercising their faith. So when we exercise our faith, when we work on our faith, what we do is we choose. We say, I am going to choose whatever is best for my soul, not for my body, not for my senses, but for my soul. Usually, those are the right choices when we don't make decisions based on our senses. What feels good at the moment, what tastes good at the moment, what is fun to listen to, whatever gossip that may be for the moment. And when we do away with our senses being the primary reasons of what we do, and then we sacrifice the sensation, the sensory things that makes us good and it appear to be, oh, this is great to be doing right now. And we put a long-term, narrow path goal in our lives, we start to have to sacrifice a few things that may feel good, may look good, may whatever it is that it has its appearance of goodness, for us to have a more clear and a more narrow path goal. And that always takes sacrifices. It's interesting to say because we always look at sacrifices as something horrible. Oh my goodness, I have to sacrifice. I have to sacrifice my party days because I have to study. Well, you study because you want to have knowledge, and you want to have knowledge to apply that knowledge to whatever field you are interested in. That's hopefully why you're going to school. Otherwise, you may be forced to be going to school for a certain time because, again, our parents or whoever the adult is at that moment, they have certain power over us because we don't have the capacity of make our own choices for certain times in our lives. Little children can't do that. They shouldn't do that. But then when time and when not with knowledge, we start to make our own choices. We have our own responsibilities, and we no longer have to be we no longer have to be in a way that again, in a way in which we are not responsible for our own decisions. Now, not our own decisions, our own we have to be responsible for our own decisions, for our own failures, and we no longer have to be a victim. That's what I was trying to think. We look at Kardec, beautiful, beautiful Kardec. And when we talk about Kardec, it's interesting because Kardec had to give up a lot in his life. Kardec had to give up so many things that he could have continued to do. His wife was a beautiful artist. His wife had to give up part of her art to help her husband, Allan Kardec, to do all of this work with the codification, all of this work with the letters that he was receiving, paying the bills. And so that was type of a sacrifice. And when we talk about sacrifice, in Latin, the word sacrato officio means work for the sacred, work towards something godly. So when we talk about sacrifice, it's interesting because sacrifice is something that we are giving up in order for a moral, better choice to be done. So sacrifice is a beautiful thing to do. It shouldn't be something that brings us pain or hurt. Kardec had to sacrifice teaching and being all of those things that he was, all of this. He was a master at so many things, and he had to sacrifice a lot of those things in order of something that the entire world would someday appreciate all of its fruits. And again, that's our beautiful gospel. That's our beautiful book, the Spirit's book. All of those, the Spirit magazines, all of those. And that came with sacrifice. So today's morning coffee for the soul, we talk about choices and sacrifices. Because with every choice that you make in life, you will have to, in a way, sacrifice. In a way, you will have to be giving up something else. So when you have a choice, and you have so many doors that could be open for you, then you will have to close a few doors. Or, what happens is you stand in front of many doors without taking action. And unfortunately, most people in the world, and we talk about mediocrity, one morning coffee for the soul in the past a few months ago, most people in the world will be facing so many choices so many doors that life will offer them. And they will let fear take over, and they won't pick any of the doors. They won't take the first step towards doing anything. We look at how many times we have gotten invited perhaps to go to a spiritist center. We have a beautiful spiritist center in Virginia. We have one, and I'm saying Virginia because, again, Kardec Radio, Vanessa having founded this beautiful place. How many times have you been invited to listen to the programs that are posted here all the time? And sometimes we refuse. We don't want to open that door because that'll give us work. But once we say, I'm not listening to anything that's healthy for my heart, let me open that door. Let me go to Kardec Radio and let me open that door and listen to one or two different people. And then I'll make a choice if that is good for me or it isn't. But if you don't try, you will never know. And most people in the world are not willing to give up comfort in order to open a new door in their lives. And that's why we have to pay attention, because, again, we need to open these doors that are going to be good for our soul, not our senses, not our sensory intake. Because most of the time, if you listen to your senses, they're put in your life for a reason, but we exaggerate. We can't we're hungry because if we didn't have the feeling of hunger, we would starve ourselves and not notice. So God, in its all wisdom, gives us a feeling of hunger so we know that it's time for nourishment to our bodies. The problem is we make a choice to eat more than our body needs. So as long as we obey what our body needs, our senses, We know that babies need sensory stimulation when they're born. So we all need to care for our senses. I need to taste good things, to listen to good things, to feel somebody's hug. So all of these things, of course we need it. The problem is if I only obey my senses and I leave my spirit and my soul. And once I put the focus on, I'm going to start making choices that are good for my soul. That is really what loving yourself means. When you say, perhaps I can have a beautiful car, but I'm going to have to give up on going out every night so I can take that money and get a beautiful, reliable car to take me every place else. Well, then for a certain amount of time in your life, you will be sacrificing your nights of going out. This I'm talking, in general, of course. Another thing, well, I want to be like that person. Well, study what that person did to get there. You can absolutely be sure that every successful person has had to give up a lot in their lives. Every person who ever obtained any position of, and I'm saying a narrow path, a path with godly things, a path in which they have gained peace, they have gained stability. I'm not talking about money. That's a whole different topic. But I'm talking about those successful people, those people that you can sit next to them and they can say, and you can get out saying, wow, I'm so lucky I got to sit next to that person because they engulfed me with peace. You can be absolutely sure that that person had to do a lot of sacrifices in their lives. They had to perhaps give up a lot of the party scenes, a lot of the anything that would mind alter, any of the drugs and alcohol, all of those things that, again, sometimes the senses see that as a good thing. Well, again, when you walk the narrow path and you say, I'm going to give up on everything that does harm to my body, and I am going to choose to study the gospel. I am going to choose to study things that will enhance my soul, that will enhance me with knowledge. I am going to participate of events that people talk about changing the world and doing good, instead of going to events where I get out and I'm tired and I learn nothing. Those are all choices. So for you to be that person who is peaceful, full of love, that person had to give up or sacrifice so many things. But if we think of the word sacrifice as the sagrado oficio, or the sacred work, you see, that changes everything, because you're giving up on something that was sensory related most of the time, was either short-term, pleasurable, or something that was not really good for my soul. In order to get something long-term that is good for my soul, that is really in a goal sense, something that I can say, I feel so good now that I have attained that. So again, my friends, if you're facing choices, Kardec had so many choices in his life he had to do. Jesus, look at the choices he had. He was already a being that was a perfect, painless, peaceful creature. He had achieved perfection. He could be living in the sun. He could be living in other planets, that in which he was, but he could be living anywhere he wanted in complete peace, with not dealing with anything harmful. Yet, what did he choose? He sacrificed. And when we talk about Jesus sacrificing, Kardec sacrificing, Mother Teresa had sacrificed, Gandhi, Chico Xavier, he did want a family. He wanted to live a normal life. Yet he sacrificed all of that for what was righteous. And again, Jesus sacrificed the eternity of his immortality. Let's put the whatever time that never ends and was ahead of him. He sacrificed that to jointly with God, create this planet, and then become responsible for this planet, become someone who will look out for all the troubles, for all the prayers, for all the chaos, for all anything that could go wrong in a way, because it's the people who will choose what the place would be. And he's here with us. He didn't have just those 3 years that we hear about from age 30 to 33. He had billions of years before that, before planet Earth was created, until, my goodness, after this planet stops to exist. Look at the commitment. Look at the choice that our brother Jesus has made. That is some choice. And that was with, in a way, sacrifice, because he chose the work of the sacred. He decided to go the narrow path. And what an amazing being to have given us his example, so we know that it is possible. If he was not like us, human, then we would have a very difficult time following him and trying to be Christ-like or be Christians. But because he was real, because we could touch him, because we saw him, because we know all of his deeds, then it becomes possible for us to walk his path. And he himself had come and said that, I am the way, I am the path. And then he sends Kardec, he sends this consoler to teach us exactly what to do, to teach us, because he had said it. Everything that we know now, Jesus had already said in its entirety, really. We just didn't get it. We needed more information. We needed more details. We needed current language. And then Kardec comes to compile these beautiful books for us to really understand, for us to really have the time to sit and say, wow, this is what it's all about. I have read the Bible 1,000 times, but now I have a different look because it's more detailed. It's more information is there for me to succeed better in being a good Christian, a good spiritist. And by the way, every spiritist is a Christian. Just to be very clear, we do follow Jesus Christ's teachings. We are follower of the Christ. So of course we are all Christians. I wanted to leave you, my friends, with this morning coffee for the soul. I hope it was a little helpful in just thinking about choices and, again, sacrifices. Choices, you need to make commitments to the things that will bring you peace, to the things that you want to succeed in. There is an enormous commitment. So when I go to the Spiritist Center and I say, I have to be there 2 or 3 times a week, not because anyone's telling me to, but because my choice to do that is the choice that will lead me to be who I want to be. Nobody's forcing me, but I am going to be there because that is good for my soul. It takes enormous commitment. It takes you to stop with the excuses. There is no excuse for the person who truly wants to succeed. There is no too much traffic, I'm late, my alarm didn't. We know these things happen, but succeeding is going regardless of all the things that could have stopped you. That is success, is moving on. Even though doors will close, even though you will get many no's, you will get you will get traffic, you will get extra work that will be all the temptations to steer you from the right path. You will get all that when you try to succeed at something. Stay clear from the distractions. When you choose to wake up and be here with me, I really applaud you all, because that shows me that, wow, people are waking up early. And some of you can't do that, or there's a time frame that's different from other states, but you still come back here and you listen. And that to me says, wow, this person is doing something to enhance their soul. And again, it's not because it's me, Deborah. I have nothing to do with this. It has to do with the word that I'm trying to convey. And this word isn't mine. This word is all of the teachings that I have listened to and researched, and most of all from the Spiritist books and from the Gospel and from all of the Kardec teachings. So again, make your choice, but remember, every choice comes by sacrificing something else. And if you don't, and you're not willing to sacrifice what usually is good for your sensory, it's very difficult for you to move ahead for something much bigger that will enhance your soul. So stop and evaluate your life. See what isn't working. See where you want to be. And pay attention to all the things, the people that you will have to give up in your life for you to achieve that. And when you choose that, and when the choice is clear of what you want, then devise your plan. Look at a timeline. Discover who are the people who will be there with you, motivating you, and decide what is holding you back. Really pay attention and make an evaluation to say, what's been holding me back all this time? Because whatever has been holding you back usually are things that you will have to sacrifice. You will have to give that up in order to get something much better. So again, thank you, my friends. If you want to leave any comments, please do so. Please go to the Kardec Radio, and I believe I am doing this right every Sunday, and I'm streaming it live so you can listen on Kardec Radio in case you don't have the Facebook. Okay, it could happen that once I might forget, but for the most part, it's there. And usually it gets published on Facebook as well. On YouTube. Kardec Radio has YouTube channel as well. And it gets published there too. You can listen to all of the past ones that we've talked about. I want to thank you all, and I want to say hello to every one of you. I know it's early. I know it's Sunday. We have Chris here. Hi, Chris. It's a pleasure to have you here, my friend. We have Marilda saying hello. We have good morning, Marilda. Yes. And we have Raquel saying good morning with that little emoji with the face. I love those emojis. They're so happy. Good morning to you, Raquel. We have Nicinelia here with us. We have Teresa Castro. Teresa's always here. I love Teresa. Just wakes up with the little rainbows, the little emojis, and it's just someone that you know is always participant. And we have Vanessa. Vanessa's here with us. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you. Thank you. And our dear, loving Vanessa is here so early, and I know she had been working nonstop with the event of the Youth Spiritist in Washington, which, my goodness, what a success. That was, I think, people, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to talk for Deborah. That was one of the most successful events that I've seen here in the United States, because that was such a unification among the youth that I have yet to see in that capacity. And I'm not saying just in numbers, but in activities. And oh my goodness. So I'm so happy that she's been busy with that. And then she went to Lilydale to the event. So I could only imagine that, how much she's been busy. And she had time to be here with us. Thank you. Teresa Castro says, Spiritism is teaching me how to know pleasure is not happiness. You see, Teresa, and happiness could have so much pleasure in a way, because when you're happy, that is the true pleasure. It's a pleasure of the heart, of the soul, of really saying, wow, I am enjoying being who I am. I am such at peace with myself. And tell me there's no better, pleasant feeling than that, right? The problem is we think that being happy means having tons of money, having fame, having beauty, having to work 20 hours a day and sleep 4, and I don't know where you eat and bathe, but to gain things. And again, we talked about money last time. Sometimes we buy things that we don't need with money that we don't have to impress people who don't care. So we got to be very very conscious of what we do. Thank you, friends. Have a wonderful and blessed Sunday. And I'll be here next Sunday with you all. Thank you very much for being here.